up with our hands over our hearts? No. We're probably getting something to eat or making sure that the beers are cold and ready for the rest of the day.
Right.
Like, we're really not paying attention to the national anthem, to be honest with you.
Well, for me, it has changed my viewership. I've loved football, and I love our country. I'm a first-generation American. My parents came here by choice. I mean, it's probably different for those who were generationally, in this country, because, I mean, it's our country is not perfect. It's flawed. But for me, the way I was raised is, being here, being an American, it's a great thing. It's something to be prideful about. Mm-hmm. And to see somebody not even take a knee, and I think where the media gets it confused is that Kaepernick took a choice to sit down. That's how it all started.
Right.
He sat down and refused to, stand up, and he made it be known why. And now they want to change it to taking a knee. Well, that was his way of, I guess, to saving grace. Take a knee.
Yes.
And
right.
That's okay. To a certain degree. But you know what? Again, I just cannot, as a fan, watch it now, being reminded, because you know what? My purpose of watching football, I think for everybody else, is to be entertained. And when you're reminded what's going on in the country, good or bad, a lot of things is bad. I mean, where's escape at for us?
I don't have no problem with watching the NFL. I'm a huge football fan, and I think if you want to watch the game, you can do just that. And I think the ratings have failed. What people leaving out is, like, you don't need DirecTV to watch the NFL no more. You can actually watch a game on YouTube or Fire Stick or
Red Zone.
Yeah, all these. You got all these different venues where you can watch football.
My take's going to be all over the place. But my issue about the sitting and standing, I kind of agree you're getting paid. But I think the United States does one thing better, in my opinion, and I'm not judging anybody. We are one of the most hypocritical countries in the world. Let me give you some explanations. I've had the opportunity in 23 years to coach 6 guys that have been in the NFL, so I know I've been to at least 25 games with them and another 10 to 15 on my own. How many times has anybody here seen a fight in the stands when somebody doesn't get up? Because it happens every game. Whether from a physical standpoint, they're dilapidated, they're hurting, they can't get up, or they refuse to get up. My next question is, like you said earlier, some people are getting their beer and their food ready. But guess what? If I'm at the game live, some people are in line for beers or in line for foods. Mm-hmm. Do those servers stop serving during the national anthem?
No.
No.
Not at all.
No.
Yeah.
Do we stop our conversation if I'm in line, go and get me a beer during the national anthem? The answer is probably no.
And I love this conversation, and I love where it's going and everyone's educated opinions. I'm learning so much from this. Do you guys think that because of social media and what's being said in the White House and even at your local bars or whatever, that it's lost a lot of the luster?
The one thing I tell my athletes all the time, that sometimes perception is more important than reality. And right now, the reality of this protest is not the perception of the everyday person about the protest. So with that being said, once it went off to left field, to me, I think, and I agree with you, the protest no longer justified, I'm not going to say justified, but everybody was looking at the protest as something that you did not start the protest off with it being.
I think no matter how you feel about the president's intellect or lack thereof, I will say he's a marketing genius, because he's been able to turn this not about social or racial inequality or social injustices or anything about that, but he has turned it into a protest pretty much against him. And he's wrapped himself in the flag like, well, if you protest me, then you're protesting America. Same way I remember Bush did it. Well, not necessarily Bush, but when we were in Iraq and Afghanistan, when the rhetoric was, if you don't support the troops, you don't support America. Well, of course we support the troops. Like, what fool don't support the troops? So I feel like he's trying to take that and wrap it as like, well, if you don't support me, then you don't support America. If you really support the troops, support the troops. Like, you standing up as a national anthem doesn't support the troops. You making sure that elected officials are in place to make sure that the VA gets fixed supports the troops. You making sure that vets don't come back from combat and are homeless or out of work, that supports the troops. Like standing up at a football game, like it's lip service. That's like telling somebody I'm gonna pray for you.
As a veteran, it bothers me when somebody disrespects the flag. You know, we should salute the flag at least twice a day in the military. So when I see somebody standing on the flag, like that's gonna bother me. And I'm not one of the people that say, hey, I went and I fought for that, for you to stand on that flag. Like, no, that's gonna bother me. And you can do what you want to do, but there's gonna be consequences. And when Kaepernick, when he didn't stand up, when he was just sitting down, like that bothered me. As a veteran, that bothered me. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I didn't know how to feel about that, you know, and it was hard to hear anything he said. But then when that veteran reached out to him and they actually linked up and he said, hey, I'm going to take a knee, I thought the conversation or the controversy should have been over.
Well, now I have some specified questions, so I'll start with you, Basil. As a member of law enforcement, you shared your personal views, just some of the conversations you've had with your brothers and sisters in blue, because to say all police officers think and act the same would be silly. You're all individuals. You put your life on the line every day, but you're also aware of situations. There's good and bad in everything. What are some of the conversations that you've had with your fellow officers about this whole situation?
It affects our morale. I mean, like from the time that every time I hear the term police brutality, you know, it's a blanket statement. You know, some people say, well, it's a white officer thing, or it's a black officer thing, or it's a Latin officer thing. No, it's a police brutality. There's no color associated with it. It's saying that because I wear the uniform, because I wear the badge, because I have the gun, I have the authority, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna brutalize somebody else's rights, somebody else's freedom. And that's not the case at all. And I will say this, we're not perfect, we're human. Nothing, just because we have those titles on us, it doesn't dehumanize us. It doesn't make us, you know, pristine in how we conduct our job. But in the end of the day, we have a job to do. And at the end of the day, you know, we want to go home to our families. You know, at the end of the day, we want to do our best, give our best. I feel like a sense of, you know, the stares I get comparison when I'm in plain clothes to where I'm wearing uniform. It's like it's a stare of like I've been drowning kittens all day, you know. People look at me, you know, and I'm not going to say as far as, hey, look, you know, it doesn't have an effect on me. It does, but however, I do understand where it comes from.
Well, Coach White, we're going to stay right here with you because you're here on the high school level, doing a great job here at Douglas County High School. You're dealing with young men, 14 to 18. We all were 14 to 18, so we know where our minds were. It was Keisha first period, exactly. Jennifer second period. Oh, I got a test. Oh, I'm supposed to block that man right there. Right. What has been some of the conversations with your players about this issue with the flag or the protesting, Colin Kaepernick? Because you have black and white players, and how have you guys addressed that as a school? Or the county board even made a statement to, okay, this is if this arises, or have they mandated anything for you?
To be honest, in all my years coaching, I can never remember being visible during the playing of the national anthem. Like here, we're in the weight room or either the locker room. Now, what I will say is, if one of the coaches is having a conversation and we hear it, we shut everything down. Just stop. We're just gonna stop, and then we go back into it. In terms of my kids, we really haven't had the conversation. We may have it, so because we're never visible, we've never really had to have that sort of conversation.
Well, I appreciate that, and we're getting ready to wrap it up. So, and I mean the football pun all the way. We scored a touchdown, so we're gonna line up for Coach. We're going for the 2-point conversion, or we're going for the extra point.
What's the score?
We down 21-20.
I'm going for 2.
You going for the win?
Every time. It ain't no close. That's been my rule as long as I've been coaching. I tell my kids the first day, if you don't want me to go for 2, you better win it. You better win it where it ain't that situation.
Good call, because this is a 2-part question. So yeah, we're going for the 2.
All right.
And with no time left, so that's how we're going to win this ball game right here. With this whole situation, controversies and everything, what do you think the end game should be? And then what do you think the end game will be? Because what it should be and what it will be, It's two different things. So, Coach, okay, since we're going for the two.
I think the end game should be, like we said earlier, a round table where people with totally different ideas about the issues, or people that are having problems with each other about the issues, have conversations to where each side can learn to understand how they feel the way they feel. I think that would curb a lot of the problems that we have.
Right.
I think what it will be, in my opinion, is for one side to really mess up. I think that shuts the other one down. And I don't know which one. And what I mean by that is somebody that's taking a knee does something that's totally out of line, whether it's on his Twitter, his Facebook or whatever, or one of these big officials or big owners tweets something or has an email line that he done said a lot of things out of place that they shouldn't have, that shuts it down. I think it's too much pride among both sides to come to a room and say, let's throw all this out the window. Let's have this conversation and see what can we do to get better. So that's what I hope they'll do, and I hope they'll do it soon.
What I hope the end game is, I guess what it was with Dallas, where they had the shooting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that that police chief, he said it best. You know, if you got a problem with police, we're hiring. So I think you just got to be involved in your community, and maybe not be a police officer, but go down to the police station. Do a ride along, stuff like that. I know they forever and had like coffee with the cop and things like that. So I think that's what the end game should be, and I think that's the narrative that should be pushed. But as far as where I think it's going to go, yeah, I have no idea. I mean, who thought Trump would get elected? So.
What I hope for is that we start to realize that, we are America. We are Americans. We're in this country. There's no alternative. We can make it what we need it to be. To stop looking at our country as a thing and start looking at it as us. It represents the worst of us and the best of us, and it's not going to happen in 20, 30, or 50 years. It's going to take a generation, maybe even more. But we got to aim instead of staying divided because, like I said, Trump is the outcome of this division. What's going to happen is that, unfortunately, as Americans, we have short-term memory. This is going to continue until the next phase is pumped in by the media, like the scent of popcorn in the movie theater, So that's what's going to happen.
I would like the end game to be, we just need to come together and have a conversation, an uncomfortable conversation. And I think that's where, I think you said it earlier, Basil, that that's where education can come in, because I feel like the more and more we're educated about stuff, the less we can be divided, whether it's by the politicians, whether it's by the media, whatever. Because this trick to divide us has been going on for generations, since slavery, really. So that's where I hope it goes, is to a conversation where everybody gets to share their viewpoints. And even if we don't, like, at the end of the day, if we can at least come to, like, well, we got to disagree, we got to agree to disagree, but at least I can see where you're coming from. Right. If we can get to that point, then I think the sky's the limit from there as far as the society, as far as the game of football is concerned. What do I think the end game is going to be? I actually like both of y'all points. Basil, you said that we have a short attention span.
Yes.
We just got to wait for the next Trump tweet, like whoever's he's going to piss off next, like whether it's North Korea, whether it's whatever it is, with all the healthcare situation, like we just got to wait for that, and then this will blow over. I like your take on the coach, because you said that it's going to take one side to mess up.
Well, Coach, I'm wide open on this 2-point conversion, so I'm going to catch this game-winning score right here. I think what the end game should be, I get it as far as wanting to keep your politics outside of sports, because this is your, but let me escape from reality and have some, this is entertainment. But for October, now it's a crucial catch where they're covering all cancers. But before it was just Breast Cancer Awareness Month. That's political. It's healthcare. So I think that and we're coming up on Veterans Day. So there's going to be the salute to service that the NFL does. I think that there should be a social activism period where we highlight and bring attention to things that are going on, and the league supports more education speaking with having officers come